1 year, 6 development projects, over 20 homes demolished, more than 100 homes improved. Building Better Neighborhoods, a News Channel 5 initiative to clean up abandoned properties, has teamed up with more than 900 volunteers to restore Northeast Ohio communities. Go to newsnet5.com/BBN to see how you can continue to help us improve the place we all call home. News Channel 5, on your side.
We send the police out to vacant properties that are being stripped.
I'm scared for all the kids that have to walk through here. They're endangering everybody's lives.
We have to send the fire departments out to houses that are being burned.
I know folks is frustrated.
It's a tough battle, and it's heartbreaking. It's hitting closer to home than I guess I'm comfortable with.
Well, we could lose even more of our community.
We're seeing the loss of value of real estate at an incredible level.
Sales prices have decreased by 50% in the city of Cleveland, 25% in the county.
And I'd say we're right around 12 to 1,500 houses that still need to come down.
Tear down these houses.
And citizens have every right to demand the problem be taken care of.
This is fixable.
It's like anything else. You have to protect where you live. Tell me. Can you tell me what do we do?
The foreclosure crisis is a problem that touches every person in Northeast Ohio. Tonight, we're looking for real solutions. Good evening. I'm Danita Harris.
Hey, good evening. I'm Chris Flanagan. Thank you for joining us for our Building Better Neighborhoods Town Hall Special. Over the next hour, we're going to dig deep into the foreclosure crisis, an unprecedented economic emergency that has plagued our communities and our country for the past 5 years. This cash catastrophe forced families to abandon their homes, littered neighborhoods with vacant structures that become eyesores, and even hotbeds for crime, crimes that sometimes turn deadly.
And Chris, we're not alone in this effort. We've got a panel of community leaders and experts in our studio tonight to lay out exactly what went wrong and help us work together to tackle this problem.
Housing experts estimate more than 30,000 vacant or condemned structures need to be demolished in Northeast Ohio right now.
Troubleshooter Joe Paganakis shows why it's a growing problem that is perpetuating crime and a devastating drop in local property values.
November 1st, 8 p.m. Burglars touch off a blaze in this vacant Cleveland laundromat.
The smoke was just going and the blaze just started, and then they was trying to put it out.
The blaze spread to an apartment complex, leaving 5 families homeless. November 4th, 7 p.m. Cleveland residents held a neighborhood rally.
Why'd they tear it down?
Somebody dragged a 14-year-old girl walking to school behind this vacant home and raped her. November 10th, 2 a.m. A vacant home on Road exploded into flames.
I heard a big old rumble. Sounded like a bomb on the side of the street.
Vandals stripped the home of its piping, creating a gas leak that fueled the blast.
All these empty houses, there's always danger because of them, taking things out of it.
Crime and safety issues just scratched the surface of the vacant building problem in Northeast Ohio.
A lot of the owners of this house in this block, they're very concerned because they cannot sell.
Kyvan Bauzo's well-kept Cleveland home has lost more than $20,000 in value. There are 9 vacant homes on his block.
There are houses that are condemned in the city of Cleveland that have been condemned for 8-10 years are still standing.
But the vacant homes crisis isn't just in Cleveland. It's in nearly every Northeast Ohio city, from Elyria to Mentor to Canton, Ohio.
I got to tell you, Joe, it's a growing number.
It's urban, it's rural, it's regional.
We have an absolutely stunning decline in property values.
Housing experts like former Cuyahoga County Treasurer Jim Rokakis say evidence for the dramatic drops in property values can be found in studies like this one from Cleveland's Federal Reserve Bank. It focuses on the 27,000 Cuyahoga County residents who sold their homes in 2010. The value of the homes dropped so much, their owners sold them for $1.4 billion below their county assessed value. Rokakis says billions in lost property value will result in thousands of residents demanding tax reassessment in 2012. The ripple effect continues, with millions in lost tax revenue forcing cities and counties to cut critical services. Cleveland's Building and Housing Director Ed Ribka says his department has taken down 5,400 structures since 2008. But there are still another 12,000 waiting to be demolished.
This mess has been dumped on cities across this country, including Cleveland.
Ribka says his department is trying to keep pace, but with federal funds running out and tougher EPA standards for demolitions, there are no easy answers.
We have to raise more demolition dollars. We have to go to our federal government and have them hold the mortgage companies accountable and make them come to the table. We got to stop bailing out the banks and the mortgage companies, have them start bailing out our neighborhoods.
News Channel 5 is launching a special 3-part investigative series. Good evening, I'm Danita Harris.
And I'm Chris Flanagan. It is part of our commitment toward building better neighborhoods. Our exclusive report uncovers millions of dollars, a cross-country hunt, and 2 men who've left taxpayers on the hook. On your side, Chief Investigator Ron Regan joins us with what he's found and how we are all paying the price.
Well, Chris, we're talking about 2 guys who left behind a trail of broken neighborhoods. It includes mystery, greed, and a coast-to-coast search by our investigative team. And many believe those behind the scam were simply cashing in on Cleveland. It's a story that begins with homes like these. This one was bought for $900, but within weeks, it was sold to an investor for $32,000. Angela Racian is another investor.
They collected a lot of the money from investors. They took the money and they ran with it. So it's turned out to be one big scam.
So we followed the money from Cleveland neighborhoods all the way to Southern California.
Millions and millions taken in by this. And how did it all end?
It all ended with pretty much nothing. People were out of the money. The office closed down. Michael Alexander and Mark Tao disappeared, and no properties.
Michael Alexander, convicted of tax fraud in 1997.
My partner and I, Mr. Mark Tao, worked directly with the banks.
And Mark Tao, banned from selling securities in 2003, now were a team buying up 129 homes they claimed were great investments.
We have some very exciting and very interesting, but most importantly, some very lucrative information we're going to share with you tonight.
Well, I was saying that they were collecting $25,000 a person.
Alexander ran seminars like these.
Michael Alexander seemed very credible. He was nicely presented.
Complete with a plan to renovate them.
Even better, we have put together a complete turnkey system whereby you'll be able to take advantage of what we can show you and offer you here this evening.
Rose Reagan's another investor.
How did he strike you?
He's a salesman, you know, gregarious, interesting, a little slick.
Still another asked not to be identified.
Very slick presentation, slideshow.
And slick is a good description. When investors learned the real condition of homes they were buying, Alexander and Tao vanished into thin air.
They ended up being really, really dilapidated, condemned properties in the downtown worst areas of the city.
Did that surprise you?
That totally surprised me, because during the presentation, they were showing nice homes.
Their company was called Easy Access Funding. And here at its Newport Beach, California office, we found doors locked, lights out. Meanwhile, hundreds of homes back in Cleveland were now sitting empty, some falling apart from neglect, or worse.
Next you know, we just heard a tremendous explosion.
2 years ago, this Easy Access home exploded. An entire West Side neighborhood nearly destroyed. The home sat vacant and vandalized for 2 full years.
I'm a minister, and all I could say was, God help us.
And records show Easy Access continues to pile up at least $335,000 in potential housing code fines, more than $500,000 in unpaid taxes, and another $32 million in contempt sanctions for failure to appear in housing court.
Defendant is found in contempt of court.
Turns out Alexander has disappeared before. Our investigation found he's really Michael Pedwell. We found his original birth certificate, and that led us here to the coast of North Carolina. And a stunning discovery.
Found was a capsized boat with no one aboard.
25 years ago, Pedwell faked his own death for profit. The Coast Guard recovered his boat, but Pedwell had vanished.
We're supposed to return in about an hour, hour and a half, and failed to return.
It was all a scam. Pedwell later pled guilty to insurance fraud. Years later, he resurfaced as Michael Alexander. And it's here in California where Alexander and Tao began cashing in on Cleveland.
We're supposedly going to be worth, 3 times the amount that you were buying them for.
Palm trees and sun-drenched beaches are a long way from Cuyahoga County's foreclosure crisis. But what we found here in Southern California is something no one has been able to find until now.
Please leave.
I'd like to talk to you about your easy access funding, please.
Please leave.
Please, we'd like to talk to you. Hey, take your hands off the camera, please. We'd like to. Well, tomorrow night at 11, you'll see what happened next. And it's costing every taxpayer as vacant homes lead to declining property values, lost revenue in taxes, and increased crime. And of course, you can join the conversation on Twitter at #5Digs. I'm Chief Investigator Ron Regan.
He was a key player in a scheme that was supposed to revitalize Cleveland neighborhoods. Instead, it's left taxpayers on the hook. Our exclusive 5 on Your Side investigation continues tonight with a startling on-camera confession to fraud. Chief Investigator Ron Regan joins us now with what he's found.
Well, Chris, we're talking about a guy who helped run an investment scheme based on buying and selling foreclosed homes in Cleveland. And no one's been able to find him until now. It was supposed to rehab homes like these. Investors felt good about what they were doing.
It's supposed to be a win-win all the way around.
Rose Reagan said she gave $60,000 to this man, Mark Tao. Together with Michael Alexander, they pitched their scheme in seminars like these.
Mark has been an attorney, practiced law for over 30 years. His specialty is real estate. It's also his passion as it is mine.
He's the escrow agent. He's an attorney, in California. He's a bright enough man to set up an escrow account. He's got a real estate license. Where did the money go?
But after buying up 129 homes in Cleveland, Tao and Alexander disappeared. Their office shut down, leaving behind more than $500,000 in unpaid real estate taxes, $335,000 more in housing court fines, and a whopping $32 million in contempt sanctions for failing to appear in housing court. Meanwhile, Tao convinced investors he left town.
Well, he sent a letter to me telling me that he's resigned from the state bar, living in Kansas.
Tao's letter claims he moved here to Overland Park, Kansas. He gave the California Bar Association the same address, even published news releases announcing it.
You haven't been able to get a phone call back from him, have you?
Never.
For almost 3 years, Michael Alexander and Mark Tao seem to have vanished into thin air. Meanwhile, investors across the country and the courts back in Ohio wanted answers. So we came here to Southern California to find them. And at least one of them was surprised to see us. I'm Ron Regan with Channel 5 in Cleveland.
How are you?
Good to talk to you. Yeah, I thought you were in Overland Park, Kansas.
I'm here today.
Good.
Please leave.
I'd like to talk to you about your easy access funding, please.
Please leave.
A lot of people think you ripped them off.
I didn't rip them off.
Who did?
Michael Alexander.
In fact, in letters to investors, Tao claims Michael Alexander stole in excess of $2 million, forged Tao's signature, and is now living in a $12 million home. Tao claims it's located somewhere inside this gated community in Southern California.
I didn't run to a foreign country. I'm not running rich, okay? My name is Mark Tao, and I'm here to be interviewed by you.
All right. Tell me what happened in Cleveland.
What happened in Cleveland is I entrusted and met a man named Michael Alexander, who I only learned at the end of the transaction. His name was Michael Pedwell.
Tao insists he and investors were misled.
He came to me and said, I wanted you to supervise this transaction as best I could. And I just thought, okay, I have an opportunity to work with a guy who drives around in a 2008 500 SL and a 2009 750 BMW.
You were the lawyer for this
company.
You were in the same offices as Michael Alexander. How can you not be culpable?
Because Michael is very, very smart.
And after leaving behind a trail of vacant homes across Cleveland, Tal now admits it was all a fraud.
You could blame it on me. You could blame it on Michael Alexander. But there are a lot more people at fault in this big game than just me and others. Mr. Alexander is a big part of the fraud. But the sellers of property to sell abandoned property and just not disclose it's abandoned, destroyed, condemned, for the sole reason that they can make profit and get it off their books.
So where's Tal's partner? Where's Michael Alexander hiding tonight? Tomorrow at 11, a new twist. And what we found is now getting the attention of county prosecutors. You can log on to newsnet5.com for complete coverage, extended interviews, and join us on Twitter at #5Digs. I'm Chief Investigator Ron Regan.
News Channel 5's Building Better Neighborhoods initiative has some good news to report tonight. In the battle against vacant homes, Congressional Representatives Steve LaTourette and Marcia Fudge are teaming up to unveil a new piece of bipartisan legislation.
It is called the Restore Our Neighborhoods Act. If passed, it could make a big difference. 5 on your side troubleshooter Joe Pakanakis joins us live now. Joe, this measure would create $4 billion in neighborhood demolition and renovation funds.
That's right. It would call for the creation of federal demolition bonds that could be sold by cities and states and approved land banks to investors. This would create the funds needed to take down vacant homes like the one you see here on East 69th Street in Cleveland, allowing these neighborhoods to rebuild. This bipartisan legislation was introduced by Congress members LaTourette and Marcia Fudge just hours ago. It would create the funds to take down many of the 30,000 vacant and condemned homes that are plaguing Northeast Ohio neighborhoods. Some of these homes have been reported through News Channel 5's Building Better Neighborhoods initiative.
Well, all this week, News Channel 5 has teamed up with Cleveland's Nehemiah Mission for a big cleanup effort.
It is all part of our 5 on Your Side Building Better Neighborhoods initiative. News Channel 5 employees, including my partner Chris here, volunteered in several neighborhoods looking to make a difference. Troubleshooter Joe Paganakis joins us live from one of our cleanup sites at West 55th and Storer Avenue. And Joe, I hear Chris and everyone reopened an entire alleyway today.
That's right, Lee. This alleyway behind me here had been abandoned for years. It had high weeds, trash, and debris, completely impassable. Now you can see it's totally cleared out. This is a classic example of how companies can work with Cleveland's Nehemiah Mission to make neighborhoods much better. The week started with News Channel 5 employees from every department putting on our hard hats. Under the supervision of the Nehemiah Mission, we went to work on Monday, taking down this dilapidated garage on West 110th. And in a matter of a few hours, our team spent the rest of Monday and Tuesday hauling out pounds of old wood and debris. Then it was time to break out the power washers. This home on West 81st received a good cleaning. And once the house was washed down, we brought in the big ladders and high scaffolding. And by Wednesday, we had paintbrushes and rollers on the move. By Thursday, News Channel 5 had scrapers in high gear on yet another home, prepping it for paint. Some tender, loving care here at this house in Garfield Heights. It would be the second home the Building Better Neighborhoods team would paint in just 3 days. And then today, shovels and trimmers in action at this abandoned alley near West 55th and Storer Avenue. We found trash and debris of every kind. Reporter Kristen Byrne on the scene all day.
So I would just say, this is your home, this is your backyard. Take the time to throw it in a trash can. It's really simple.
Anchor Chris Flanagan doing a lot of the heavy lifting, encouraging others to take action in their neighborhoods.
Just come out, volunteer your time. It's your home, it's your backyard, it's your neighborhood. One person can make a difference, little by little.
WEWS Vice President and General Manager Sam Rosenwasser, with rake in hand, made it clear the week-long cleanup won't be News Channel 5's last.
We've seen examples of that, of neighborhoods banding together and saying, let's clean up our area. And I think this is something that companies like ours can take on as a project to beautify the neighborhoods and make them better places to live.
So if you want to take action in your neighborhood, you can do it through our Building Better Neighborhoods initiative. Log on to newsnet5.com/BBN to find out how you can volunteer through organizations like the Nehemiah Mission. And if you have a vacant home on your block, send us an email to bbn@wews.com. We'll forward that information to your city building department. Reporting live from a much cleaner West 55th Street area, I'm troubleshooter Joe Paganakis.
Wanted in one of Ohio's largest foreclosure scams, and News Channel 5's investigative team caught up with him thousands of miles away in California. Tonight, that exclusive On Your Side investigation has resulted in a criminal indictment against Mark Tao. Good evening, I'm Lee Jordan.
And I'm Chris Flanagan. Last February, we first exposed how homes across Cuyahoga County were swept up in what prosecutors are now calling a pattern of corruption. On Your Side Chief Investigator Ron Regan broke the story and now has new information on today's developments. Ron.
Well, Chris, this is the 53-page indictment that details what we first reported. And tonight, an arrest warrant has been issued for Mark Tao, one of the men behind Easy Access funding. And he's been hiding from both investors and the courts until we found him 8 months ago. I'm Ron Regan with Channel 5 in Cleveland.
How are you?
Good to talk to you. Yeah, I thought you were in Overland Park, Kansas.
I'm here today.
Good.
Please leave
I'd like to talk to you about your Easy Access funding, please.
Please leave.
That's Mark Tao last January when we found him living here in Southern California. Now he's accused in this indictment of deceiving investors who believed they were buying homes that would be rehabbed and sold for profit.
I didn't run to a foreign country. I'm not running rich, okay? My name is Mark Tao, and I'm here to be interviewed by you.
All right. Tell me what happened in Cleveland.
What happened in Cleveland is I entrusted and met a man named Michael Alexander, who I only learned at the end of the transaction. His name was Michael Pedwell.
And after leaving behind a trail of vacant homes in Cleveland, Tao now admitted it was all a fraud.
You could blame it on me. You could blame it on Michael Alexander. But there are a lot more people at fault in this big game than just me and others. Mr. Alexander is a big part of the fraud, but the sellers of property to sell abandoned property and just not disclose it's abandoned, destroyed, condemned, for the sole reason that they can make profit and get it off their books.
That on-camera confession, plus interviews with investors,
They're supposedly going to be worth, 3 times the amount that you were buying them for.
led Cuyahoga County Prosecutor Bill Mason to call for a grand jury.
We believe that after we're done with a thorough investigation that we're going to be able to tie them to criminal activity. And when that is completed, and if it is completed and there's evidence to support it, we'll present this information to a grand jury.
Today's indictment found 199 easy access homes across Cuyahoga County sitting empty, some falling apart from neglect or worse.
We just heard a tremendous explosion.
2 years ago, an easy access home exploded. An entire West Side neighborhood nearly destroyed. The home sat vacant and vandalized for 2 full years.
I'm a minister, and all I could say was, God help us.
Well, Tao has been charged with theft, engaging in a pattern of corrupt activity, money laundering, and telecommunications fraud. Tonight, authorities in California are armed with a search warrant and an arrest warrant for his arrest. Back to you.
Ron, as we saw, Tao did have a business associate. Does he face criminal charges?
Well, yes, that's Michael Alexander, and as we mentioned, he was mentioned in the indictment as a member of Tao's team, but so far, he has not been indicted. Now, we found him in Dallas in June, and of course, he denied any wrongdoing. On your side, I'm Chief Investigator Ron Regan.
This project's so important for people to come out, and more importantly for us to really make a visible impact in our community.
On Your Side, with ways to make a difference where you live. This is the 5 on Your Side Building Better Neighborhoods Special.
Welcome to the 5 on Your Side Building Better Neighborhoods Special. I'm Danita Harris. In the next hour, we hope to inspire you to take action in your own community to improve your neighborhood. We started our Building Better Neighborhoods initiative just over a year ago, and this map behind me shows you the neighborhoods where News Channel 5 worked to make a difference. Our goal during the next hour is to educate you on how to get government help to make your neighborhood a safer, cleaner, and a more economically vibrant place to live. Joining me tonight will be my co-anchor Chris Flanagan, 5 on Your Side troubleshooter Joe Paganakis, and News Channel 5's John Cosick. Let's check in first with Chris. He is at the Eastman branch of the Cuyahoga County Library. Chris?
Danita, good evening. Yeah, the library filling up quickly here. We're getting ready for what is expected to be a very lively question and answer session between housing experts. We've got Cleveland City Council members on hand as well. Also members from some suburbs out here to tell us what's going on in their community as well. It's not just a problem in Cleveland, but it's really all over Northeast Ohio. And we also have residents here from neighborhoods asking all these experts questions to what they can do to improve their neighborhood. So it should be a great Q&A session for the next hour here at the library.
As this map shows, we've done stories in almost 40 different neighborhoods and target cleanup in 5 of those neighborhoods. Our efforts included dozens and dozens of volunteers, plus many different agencies and businesses coming together to help. Joe Paganakis looks back at the 5 key neighborhoods where we worked.
August 17th, 100 volunteers were out in force on East 116th Street in Cleveland, getting their hands dirty.
From painting and scraping paint to repainting porches and cutting down huge trees.
This is a beautiful, beautiful place, a beautiful area, and the spirit of neighborhood really lies in our ability to work together.
Volunteers from Rebuilding Together helped everyone.
Been here 19 years.
That's awesome.
19 years and just kind of waited for it.
Then it's on to Paynesville to help build a park on September 21st. 87-year-old Howard McCain helped build over a dozen picnic tables while others mulched and planted trees and gardens. The Lake Erie baseball team hauled rocks.
Beats the rocks any day, yeah.
The whole area was once an elementary school. When that came down, the city decided to give the land back to the kids of the community.
Seeing this now come together to really be something other than a vacant lot really is encouraging.
From here, we traveled west on September 28th to Elyria. A neighborhood band kept the volunteers moving on Gates Avenue and South Maple Street. Elyria city workers pitched in to help volunteers clean up more than a dozen homes by getting rid of weeds, debris, making porch improvements, and planting a community garden.
I grew up in the house right behind us. We lived here for about 15 years, and to see what the streets become today, you know, it's kind of sad to see all these rundown houses and that, so it's kind of, like I said, personal to come back and give back to the community.
Our efforts sparked Mayor Holly Brenda to create an Office of Volunteer Engagement to give people a way to get involved.
Because we know that if we want to accomplish our goals, especially in this economic climate, that we need everybody's help, and it's really about shared responsibility.
It was called a big day of serving in Akron last month. Some 200 Christian children worked together with adult supervisors to help build better neighborhoods.
It makes a difference in the world.
Feels good in here. Pretty much, just feels good in here.
Don't dip it in like that, just kind of roll it into that.
At Shady Side Park, the job was to paint a 15-year-old gazebo.
What they're doing, it would take, like Kilmore Kiwanis, our group, which is mostly elderly people, to come down, they couldn't do it.
It's a good feeling that I wish we did more of this around the community, and a lot more people joined in, because it's a good thing.
And finally, our latest Building Better Neighborhoods project was on Cleveland's west side October 19th. We watched as 2 vacant homes came down, properties that were havens for drug activity.
Just to see this house go is going to improve the neighborhood a lot. I mean, it was an eyesore for us for so many years, you know, and just to see it go, I mean, it's a relief for me.
And that's not all that happened on West 30th Street. Nearby, Lincoln West High School students pitched in to volunteer in the area.
It's very special. I mean, we go to school here every day. Though some of us don't live on this street, this is still our community. We see this every day. You know, we take pride in where we come from.
We work in Cleveland, and, you know, Cleveland is our home, and, you know, to give back to the community for the kids and children is our attribute. I mean, it's priceless.